Okay, this is the second part of your notes for this section, and it seems like they're going to be really long, and they kind of are, but it's not really that bad. And the fourth one is really short, and the third one, you're going to be given the choice of whether to write it all down or just to use the video to study it. So the crucifixion. Jesus was forced to carry his cross, but he fell 3 times. His energy, he just didn't have enough strength to do it anymore after being beaten and scourged and hadn't eaten or drank anything for so long. The Roman soldiers pressed Simon of Cyrene into service to help Jesus carry it. Pause here. Jesus was mocked by bystanders and others that were being crucified along with him. Can you imagine that, being mocked by other people being crucified? However, one good thief um, recognized that Jesus was being treated unfairly and chastised the others. He asked Jesus to take him to paradise, and Jesus said yes to him. He is someone who we know as Saint Dismas. We know he's a saint because Jesus said that he was going to be in paradise with him. He was uh, he was a thief, and he pointed out to the other uh, fellow being crucified that we deserve our punishment. We committed crimes, but this man here is innocent. Pause here. All right. Jesus says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And just by reading that, it kind of sounds like Jesus is thinking that God has forgotten about him, that he feels abandoned, um, and it's kind of a sad thing that we can't understand, because how is that happening? Because he is God, so he can't forsake himself, can he? But when we realize that this is actually the beginning of Psalm 22, we can recognize that this was a phrase meant to remind the Jews of that psalm. And in that psalm, it tells of how the coming of Jesus and his crucifixion were predicted many years ago in the Psalms. Jesus is telling them with some of his final words that this was predicted about your Messiah. You're forgetting these things of the prophets, and it's helping them to realize who he actually is. Okay, pause here. No, we just had that. I forgot to cut it out. So maybe your notes are actually much shorter than what I thought. One slide shorter. Okay, that's good. All right, the burial of Jesus. Joseph of Arimathea. He was actually one of the Jewish elders that uh, was secretly a follower of Jesus. He didn't want to give up his place among the elders, and probably did more good there than if he had left his following public. But he received permission to bury Jesus, and the body was wrapped and placed in the tomb. Jewish leaders recalled that Jesus had said something about being resurrected, so they insisted that a guard be placed to prevent Jesus' followers from taking the body and claiming Jesus was resurrected. So a couple of Roman soldiers were placed there to make sure nothing um, happened with Jesus' body. Pause here. All right, we get into the resurrection. Jesus' burial was rushed because of the Sabbath. Burial would be considered work. So some of the things that would have traditionally been done at the tomb were not, because it was getting too close to the Sabbath. And so the women that were going to prepare his body had waited, and they came to the tomb, and they were worried because the tomb had been blocked with a boulder and they needed to get into it. They didn't know who was going to move it in order for them to prepare the body. Pause here. They needed to wash the body with water. It would have been very dirty. So this is a respectful washing, and rubbing oils and spices on it to cover the smell of decaying flesh. And then they would rewrap him in the cloth. That would help make it so that the decaying body would not smell so bad. However, pause here. He wasn't there. The boulder had been removed. He was risen. The women returned to the upper room and told the apostles and other disciples about it, but they found it too difficult to believe. And Peter and John ran to the tomb to discover the truth for themselves, to figure out what was going on. Pause here.